Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar for Inclusive Product Management. My name is Abhinav Kapoor, and I work with Amazon Pay as a Senior Product Manager. Amazon Pay attempts to make payments more trusted and convenient for everyone. Before we go into the webinar for Inclusive Product Management, I just want to tell everybody that I am no expert on inclusivity, and the sole purpose of this webinar is to create awareness and education among present product managers and upcoming product managers. My session and language might itself not be completely inclusive, and hence I would like you to send me feedback about it on the email address I will share at the end of the webinar. Let's go back in time where we used to spend most of our time in the physical world. These physical worlds have now evolved a lot more than what they were centuries ago and have become more inclusive to every segment of the society. When I say that the physical world became more inclusive, I mean to say that now every sect and segment of the society can navigate and move around in the world more freely and more independently. Let's look at about some examples which we did in the physical world to make it more inclusive. The Braille symbols for visually impaired were a great start for our cities to make visually impaired customers roam around in the city more freely and more independently. Stairs are now complemented by ramps and lift to make people who are physically challenged and need assistance to navigate within the city more freely and more independently. With upcoming times when more women are looking out for opportunities outside the home, the percentage of people who were traveling outside of home increased. With this came a particular demand for public washrooms, as women require clean and private and safe washrooms outside their homes. Thus, public washrooms became a big lever for women to feel safe and more convenient while they're traveling in the physical world. Let's see if you can guess what kind of inclusivity is talked about in this photo. Signs and symbols have made people who can't read due to lack of education or due to unfamiliarity with the language more welcome. Now, I, as a person who knows only basically two languages, that is Hindi and English, can travel into countries and areas of which I don't even speak a language or I don't know that language. So, the basic question now occurs is why is it important to be inclusive in the digital world? People spend about 4 hours of their average time in the US on mobile phones. This is 25% of their time they are awake. That thus making digital life of certain people more comfortable and not making them more welcome in the digital world would make their 25% of their time, miserable and not as very convenient. People are now moving towards making digital identities more than physical identities. When I meet people in a social background, I tend to share my Facebook ID with them. If I'm meeting in a professional background, I tend to share my LinkedIn ID with them. Thus we have become more digitally we care about our identities more digitally than in the physical world, and thus not allowing people to make their identities in the digital world would set them back and make them feel excluded from the society as a whole. Going and onboarding to the digital world brings in efficiencies and thus saves time and reduces your cost. Thus, digital is also a very big lever to increase our economic activities. It uplifts the economic status of a person, of the society, as well as for the entire country. So now the question comes: the big techs really thinking about inclusiveness, and does inclusivity come in their mission statements? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at what Google says about their mission vision statement. When we say we want to build for everyone, we mean for everyone. This is a very important line. When they say everyone, it means they want to be inclusive and they don't want anybody to not benefit from what Google is trying to build and trying to solve the problems for everybody. This is another big tech company from the US, and they say, because to create products that serve everyone, we believe in including everyone. While both the lines are very important, and the second line is probably a topic from another webinar, we'll focus on the first line. Because to create products that serve everyone, again, the vision is to serve everybody, and thus they want to make products that can include everybody and not exclude anybody. Well, talking about text, let's go to the firm that at least I think raises the bar in defining on these on inclusivity parameters or human parameters. Let's see what UN says. No individual must be denied the opportunity to benefit from any development. Now, this development is any kind of development. We should take it as software or product development. So again, no individual must be denied the opportunity to benefit from a software development. So that means that when you're trying to release a product in every sprint or in every month, uh, always make sure that everybody is getting benefited from this development. And I know that it might be not possible for everybody to benefit from this development, but try to make a vision on how in the future can you make everybody benefit from that development. Now the basic question comes, okay, everything well and said, why does a PM, product manager, needs to be inclusive? The first thing is that we define the target segment of of the product. We essentially decides who's going to get the product first, which are the customers which are not going to be part of that product. Essentially, we define who's going to get the head start by using that product, who's going to get the benefits of that product first, and who's going to get the benefits later, or who are never going to get the benefits of that product. So it is very important that we, the product managers who vision the target segment, who focuses on a certain set of customers, are, are keeping an open eye on including everybody and not closing the product to some of the customers. We also define the experience of these products in the digital world. We are like the architects and the city planners in the physical world. So we don't want to make those mistakes again and make a city, make a digital world which is only inclusive and welcoming to a certain sect of society, and not welcoming to to certain other sects of societies that are there. We define whether, in the digital world, whether a staircase will be built or a ramp will be built, whether a staircase and a ramp also can be built. We define which customers are going to face the most convenient experience and which customers are not going to face a convenient experience. Leaving the customers aside, for you as a product manager, being inclusive can be also seen from the lens of new growth areas. Do you feel that if product is saturated and you cannot find new segments to launch your product, well, then this be making your products inclusive might find you new growth areas and where you can uh, grow your product further. An inclusive product can also create great public releases and save millions of your dollars from publicity, while a bad PR of a non-inclusive product can ruin millions of dollars that have been already invested in the product. Last but not the least, a good experience and an inclusive experience always results in lesser costs. If your product is not inclusive, you're bound to get customer calls, you're bound to get returns, and you're bound to get higher costs for your product. So it's not only from the customer side, the frustration that they face while using your products, it's also the cost that you have to bear to sustain such a product. Let's look into some examples that are live in the digital world and what as a product manager you can do to be more inclusive. Let's first talk about form factors. Well, the tech industry did a very great job in becoming mobile, in changing from a laptop based experience to a mobile based experience. And this was predominantly because most customers are now using smartphones than they are using laptops. Smartphone penetration in advanced countries is, if you see, is more than three-fourths of the population, while half of the population in emerging markets is using smartphones. So thus, if your product is only a laptop-based product, you're missing on such a huge segment. In emerging markets, we are seeing a new trend that is rising. Customers are experiencing internet for the first time on mobiles than the case in the West world where they experience first internet on a laptop. The other trend that is going in the emerging markets is mobile phones might be the only device from which the customer might face internet, as those customers do not see a value in buying a laptop or a desktop. Having said that, have you thought about your product being used on a feature phone, or say person who does not own a phone? How is your how is your vision statement looks for your products when you think about such customers? I am not saying that your product should go and solve and give smartphones to them. What I'm trying to say is, as a product manager, also try to write um, customer quotes from such customers who do not own a phone or do not uh, or use a feature phone. Surprised to see Mark Zuckerberg on this webinar. Well, Mark Zuckerberg is known to have a deficiency, and which has a big impact on how Facebook looks today. The deficiency that Mark Zuckerberg has is he has a type of color blind. This type of color blind is known as the red-green deficiency. As you see in the illustration, Mark Zuckerberg cannot differentiate between red and green. He sees them both as yellow. And there are a lot of people who face such an issue. Did you guess why? What's the correlation with Facebook? Yes, that's why Facebook is in color blue. Now, what as a product manager can you do over here? Well, we as product managers and even as designers have a tendency to put green and red buttons on our websites and on our products, because we tend to make green as a go signal and a red as a as a stop signal. Well, for some customers they might just appear same. So I would recommend we not use such colors for defining go and stop, and use some other color patterns which are more convenient for the customers to see who have these deficiencies. This is a depiction of the broadband speed across the world. Most of the softwares or most of the digital products and experiences that are built in countries like a US or in the Europe region. If you see, the broadband relative to the other world in these regions is particularly very high. And so the products are generally have that bias of being run and tested on a very high internet. But look at where the world is consuming these products. 42% of the population, current population, is within the red circle. So if your products are, and look at the broadband speed in that circle, it's particularly in the middle sector of the broadband speed depicted in the bottom of the uh, illustration. So 42% of your world population cannot use your products if your products are only tested in a broadband speed which is very high. Look at the bottom of the pyramid, which has the lowest internet speeds. That forms 18% of the world population today. But in future, that's going to rise, and that's where the population jump is coming from the region of Africa. So in future, like in 10 to 15 years, this population might even grow to 25%. Is your product really ready for this for the next set of customers to use it? So what as a product manager again can you do over here? Well, you can do two things over here. One, Google provides you an option to change your internet settings from a 4G to a 2G settings. Now, over there, you can test your phone on 2G internet speeds and see how it responds, and and where are the places where you need to reduce your latencies, or you need to reduce the load on the broadband. is second issue that the customers face in these areas is intermittent failures. So you're using your mobile phone and the internet keeps on dropping off. So devise an internet connection in your office or in your workplace, which has a lot of which has a lot of cuts, so that you know when the internet goes off, how does your product recover? How does the funnel recover? How does the customer experience recover? So those are the two things that you can do to check your product on how it works in different kind of internets. Next, we'll go for lingual inclusivity. I would like you to guess this company symbol which is depicted over here. Yeah, this company symbol is Wikipedia. I think the W over here really gave it away. So Wikipedia is available in more than 250 languages. They just don't want to stop anybody to have the information and the knowledge that Wikipedia has just because they don't know the language in which the website is created. So they want to make their website available to the most as many people as possible and not have language as a barrier to access information. Interestingly, Wikipedia is with 250 plus languages is still not the website which is the most translated website on the web. There is a website known as jw.org, which is translated in more than 1000 languages. So on that website, you can choose more than 1000 languages uh, to read to read that web. JW.org is about teaching the world about Bible and biblical context. So what as a product manager again you can do? Is your product restricted to a single language? Can making your product available in more languages increase your customer base? Do customers really are not buying your product because of this linguistic barrier? You need to find out whether it's relevant to this which languages among the top 10 languages is more relevant for your product. And just a language change, you might be able to release a product in a new country or in a new region. Also look out for populations which are rising or which languages are becoming more famous around the world, and try to build your products in that language also. Just translating your product or making a product available in different languages will not mean that you will gain success in the new language or in the new region. Let's look at these photos. There is only one thing that is common. There is one thing that is common between these photos, and it's not that they both are sports. They're known as football in different countries. They're completely different sports, but the name that is there in is football in both in two different regions of the world. So when you are doing your creating a new language or you are translating, you also have to know what's the context of each word in that country. Some words can be totally misinterpreted in a different region, even though it comes from the same language. A similar kind of situation we faced in Amazon, and I would like to talk about it more. In Amazon, when we are buying some products in the Europe or in Americas, we say the word proceed to checkout. Over here, it means very clearly to the customer, hey, that clicking on this will make you complete the order. However, when we launched Amazon in India, we went to a lot of customers and to find what's the problem that they're facing on this page. And they said that, they didn't click on the word proceed to checkout. And we asked them a simple question, why don't you click on proceed to checkout? So the customer said that, hey, checkout means that you're leaving. Uh, we were even confused. We asked them why. They said, see, you check out of a hotel when you're leaving. So checkout means you're going out. So what they thought was clicking on this will make them go out of Amazon. And hence we had to change the word to proceed to buy. So if you are shopping on Amazon in India, you don't see the word proceed to checkout. Instead, you see proceed to buy, because buy as a word is more connected to the customer to buying a product than the word checkout. The next inclusivity which I was wanted to talk about is faced by this famous tennis player. His WhatsApp screen might look like this. If you still haven't got it, yeah, it's the inclusivity of left-handed people. Generally, most products are built for right hand people in the physical world, and same has been done in the digital world. Have you ever, do you even know that apps can be used by left hand people? Let me give you the statistics. 10% of the customers are left-handed people. So what as a product manager can you do over here? Go to Google settings, change the settings of your phone from a right-handed person to a left-handed person, and see the experience of your app. Is your app really as friendly to left-hand people as it was to right-hand people? Are your apps all pages rendering similarly that are mirror images of that was shown to the right-hand people than to the left-hand people? If not, then you're losing out on 10% of the customers. 10% of these customers might have shifted to some other app which would have provided them with a better experience for left hand people. This is something that is very close to my heart as I work in payments. It's pricing and payments. So, most of the customers, if you see in this world, do not have an ability to pay in a foreign currency. They have payment instruments that can be paid only in the local currency. For example, if I am staying in India, I have only payment instruments that can pay in the Indian rupee. I don't have payment instruments that can pay in a yen, dollar, or a pound. So if your product is available as a multinational product and is available in India and the payment currency is only dollars or euros, I want to use your product, but I cannot use because I cannot pay for that product. So what as a product manager can you do? Identify the countries or regions where you are available and where customers do not have a payment instrument that can pay outside of the local currency. Include those currencies in your product offering and in the payments pages. This is a very important lever to increase your sales. If you are if you are selling a product that is highly priced, there are two levers over here. One is customers don't have money enough. All customers don't have enough money to pay for your products. So how can you solve them? You can solve it by two ways, right? One is you reduce the payment that has to be done at one time. This can be done by changing your big plans like an yearly plan to a monthly plan or a daily plan or a weekly plan. This gives customer more confidence even to try your product out by not making a huge and significant payments, and then regretting probably using your product as it was not a great match for the problems that they want to solve. While it and second is about financing. If your product is heavily priced, then are you able to give that customer a credit line or an option to pay later or an option to pay in staggered installments afterwards? These can add to your revenue a lot because not all customers have the ability to pay for these products at the time when the payment is going on. Last but not the least is the selection. Are you allowing your customers to pay from all kind of payment methods? Remember, customers who, especially not corporate customers, will have a very selective set of payment instruments that they can pay with. Uh, Especially in emerging markets where digital payments is not adopted so much, customers tend to prefer cash payments because of the trust factor of the digital payments. So they tend to keep very minimal payment instruments that allow them to pay digitally. So try to allow all kinds of payment methods for your products so that you don't leave anybody behind and they don't just drop out because a particular payment method was not available for them to pay. Again, many of you might be thinking this is all good in theory, and how do we how do we go about changing our lives as a product manager? I wouldn't say change everything that you're doing, stop doing everything that you're doing, and start working on these principles. The first thing I would want to tell you is be aware. Be aware about the problems that some of the customers are facing. Some of these customers who already have a very tough life and face so many other difficulties in life. Uh, what are the problems that they're facing with you by using your product, and how you can help them by creative with your products to make their life better. The next step is you should create empathy with these customers. Go and talk to these customers, listen about their problems, and just don't be aware of it, but go ahead, talk to these customers, internalize their problems. I would also suggest you to write their customer quotes in your vision statements. For example, if you are a product manager of WhatsApp and you're writing the vision statement or the vision document for WhatsApp, I would also urge you to include how people without a phone or with feature phones, right? They are communicating with each other, and what are the problems that they face? They face a very high communication channel, that is a calling or an SMS. uh, Even they are not very reliable. So I would write for you, I would love you all, if I would love if you all write such quotations of customers and such problems which you might not be solving today, but you should always have an eye on, and you should always have an empathy for these customers. This is a very important skill of a product manager as such, is to prioritize, find which segment of such of customers which already face difficulties and face problems in their normal way of life, and for whom, if you solve for them, will give you the most return on investment. In that way, you will also feel that your business is also growing while you're making some life of a lot of people better. In the end, I would say you can always convince your team to take certain features as a social responsibility for the team. As we are designing, we are the new architects, we are the new urban planners for the digital world. uh, uh, for the digital world, and we hold the experience of people on the digital platforms. We should convince our teams that this is our contribution in making this world a better place to live, not only for customers who can afford or who are lucky enough to use a product, but also for customers who cannot afford a product or are unlucky to use, not being able to use our products. In the end, I would like you all to always remember, while thinking about new products and about thinking about new solutions, that be going digital is the biggest lever to increase efficiency in somebody's life. It saves time and it decreases your costs. Thus, if you are not on digital you don't use digital technology, it's very expensive for that person. And generally, who are these people who are not on digital technologies? Are people who are poor. So for poor people, it's very expensive. Again, going back to the WhatsApp example, me sending an SMS, sending a message to my friends is absolutely no additional cost to me. The variable cost to me is zero because I just use it over the net. But for a customer who's on a feature phone, it takes around 10 cents to send an SMS. For people who don't have a phone, they have to travel to that friend, pay that money for traveling, and then only can send that message. So always remember that being poor is expensive, and that's why try to include everybody into your products and make everybody's life more efficient, save everybody's time, and save everybody's costs. Thank you everybody for listening to the webinar. My email ID must be flashing on the screen. Please share your feedbacks and comments on the webinar.